Welcome to another installment of 5-Minute Tones. Today, rather than dial in an amp or create a preset, I want to have a look at a combination of blocks that I think sounds fantastic together. This is something that I want to incorporate into this series, like killer block combinations where you can create essentially sounds you may not have ever heard before. The Axe FX is so good at giving you a library of convenient tones that, straight out of the box sound amazing. Delays, reverbs, amps, drives, whatever it is. So you've got all those familiar sounds there, and they're incredibly authentic sounding. However, part of the fun of digital modeling is to create sounds that you couldn't create with a traditional rig, unless you had like $1 billion. So before we get started, this is a sound I'm using. It's a Brit JM45. This is my Strat. So pretty fat, cleanish kind of sound there. The first part of this sound is going to be a rhythm tap delay. So if you haven't explored the rhythm tap delay, you go to the 10 tap delay block, and this is a really fun block. I'm going to start by setting the mix to 50%. I need to do an in-depth with the 10 tap delay at some point, but we're going to go to the rhythm tap delay type, which is a little bit different. If we go to the taps section of this guy, we can set it to a quantized value, say of a 16th note, and then we can hit this learn feature. We can tap it in time and like tap a rhythm in, and the delay will repeat that little rhythm. Say for example there, whatever the rhythm I tapped in, it gives me 2 divisions, 3 divisions, and 2 divisions for this rhythm tap delay. Let's have a listen. And you could have this any sort of rhythm you like, tap it in, but I'm pretty happy with that one. That will do for this video. Another thing I'll do is turn the pan alpha up, and I'll set the pan shape to sine. This will give me a stereo set of delays where they're going to bounce around from left to right. Have a listen. And I can set the decay to 0 if I want, and this way none of the delays will degrade. So that's a pretty cool effect. This 10 tap delay block, and especially the rhythm tap, has a lot of creative potential. I'm going to bring this high cut down. So that's the first part of the sound. The next thing I'm going to do is chuck a tremolo block in there, and I want this like chopped, slicey kind of effect. So the stock trem does this. Alright, so that's kind of cool, but I want this like hard on and off, so I need to change the LFO type to a square wave. I'm actually going to turn the 10 tap off for a second while we do this, because it's a good way to create a slicer style effect, and set the depth to 100%. I'm also going to set the tempo to be a 16th note. Let's have a listen to this. So that's pretty cool. If you want to create that like slicer style effect, you can do that. Another thing you could do is say attach an LFO to the balance control. If I right click that, I'll set my LFO source to LFO 1, and I'm going to go to the controllers section next. And for this guy, I'm going to set the LFO tempo, say, to be a half note. So this is going to move my overall sound around the stereo spectrum. That's pretty cool. For this particular sound, I'm going to leave that off. But if you do want to play around with those kind of slicer style effects, that's a great way to do it. All right, let's have a listen to this killer effect combination. I really like this. That sounds really fun. One thing that I'll do with the trem is I'll set the phase to be 90 degrees. This will sound, it won't be quite as choppy in those delay repeats. I could also add some feedback to these delay repeats, which should sound pretty cool. Let's have a listen. I could also try the LFO phase on the trem at 180. And if you don't want it to chop quite as hard, you can bring the depth down a little bit. So that's a super fun combination there. If you don't want to use a 10 tap delay, you could just use a regular, say, stereo delay or a mono delay, and you're still going to get great results there. One last thing is you could change the tempo of this trem, say, to be a 16th note that's dotted rather than a regular 16th note. So there's an offset between the rhythms happening on the 10 tap delay and the panning slicer style effect. So the reason I really like this is this combination of these two blocks give you, on their own, some kind of out of the box sounds, but when you combine them, you get this like super combination of a really, really creative effect style. And you know, you can play plain old vanilla major and minor chords, and it's giving you something that sounds, I don't know, like a modular synth or something like that. It's great if you're looking for new sounds when you're recording, and I think it can definitely spark you to inspire, you know, some new writing or something like that. So that's the first in this series of killer block combinations in the Axe FX. If you want to hear other combinations or there's combos that you love and admire, please let me know in the comments. Until next time, stay excellent. See you guys.